Time. It's the silent architect of every breath you take. The unseen current pulling you forward, whether you're ready or not. You plan your life around it, chase your goals through it, and measure your worth by how much of it you've used or wasted. But here's the question that unravels everything. What if everything you've ever believed about time is an illusion? From the instant your eyes open in the morning to the moment they close at night, time dictates your every move. The schedule, the deadlines, the ticking seconds, all seem absolute. Yet when you truly pay attention, you realize something extraordinary. Time bends. It stretches. It collapses. A single hour in the arms of someone you love feels like minutes. A few seconds of fear can feel like an eternity. We've all lived it. Moments of bliss that vanish too fast, and moments of pain that refuse to end. This isn't just perception. It's proof of how consciousness interacts with the flow of reality itself. Scientists have studied how emotion, attention, and memory alter the way we experience time. Fear expands it. Joy compresses it. Love suspends it. But what if this isn't just psychology? What if it reveals something far deeper? That time itself doesn't exist as an external force, but as a reflection of our own awareness. Think about it. When you try to grasp the present moment, really hold it, it's already gone. The instant you say, now, that now belongs to the past. There is no fixed present, no solid moment to stand on. Only a stream of awareness, flowing endlessly. So what is time, really? Is it something flowing around us, or something created within us? Physics suggests that time isn't the constant we once believed. Under the weight of gravity and the speed of motion, time itself bends. The person standing on a mountaintop experiences time differently than someone in the valley below. An astronaut traveling near the speed of light would age slower than those left behind on Earth. If time can stretch and contract, does it even exist independently of us? Einstein shattered the old illusion that time is a straight line. Instead, he showed us that time and space are woven together into a single fabric, space-time. The universe isn't a movie reel being played frame by frame. All frames, past, present, and future, exist simultaneously. We only experience them in sequence because our consciousness moves through them one by one. This means that what you call the future may already exist. What you call the past may still be alive somewhere in the great continuum of existence. Time isn't pushing us forward. It's standing still, and it's our awareness that moves. The illusion of time's flow is born from the way consciousness perceives change. Like a projector casting still images into a motion picture, your mind strings together fragments of reality and calls it movement. But nothing may actually be moving at all. That thought alone, that you might not be moving through time but through states of perception, changes everything. It means that the life you think is unfolding might already be complete. Every victory, every loss, every tear, every smile, all existing at once, waiting for your awareness to meet them. And here's where it gets truly profound. If time doesn't flow, then death itself may be nothing more than a shift in perception. When you step beyond the limits of ordinary perception, something begins to shift. You realize that time is not a straight line. It's a field, a vast ocean of moments already existing, each one waiting for awareness to touch it. And in that ocean, you're not a victim of the current. You are the current. Modern physics supports what ancient wisdom has whispered for centuries. Time is not separate from space. It is woven into the same fabric, bending under motion and gravity. The faster you move, the slower your clock ticks. The stronger the gravity, the more time distorts. It's been proven again and again. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station experience time slightly slower than those on Earth. Not by much, just fractions of a second, but enough to prove that time is flexible, not fixed. Place one clock at the top of a skyscraper and another at the bottom. The one above runs a little faster. Even the pull of gravity can change time itself. And in the extreme gravity of a black hole, time nearly stops. The closer you approach infinity, the slower you become. These are not metaphors. They are measurable truths. But their implications are cosmic. If time slows near the edge of a black hole, what happens beyond it? Does time end, or does it dissolve into something else entirely? For decades, scientists believed time was a universal flow, the same everywhere. But relativity broke that illusion. Now we know. Time depends on where you stand, how fast you move, and what you perceive. And that means this. Time is not absolute. It's relative to consciousness itself. The deeper you go, the stranger it becomes. Theories like the block universe suggest that every moment, past, present, and future, already exists. That we don't move through time at all. We simply experience it frame by frame, like watching a film reel one image at a time. If that's true, then you've never lost your past. It still exists, frozen in the tapestry of space-time. And your future? It's already written somewhere in that same tapestry, waiting for your awareness to meet it. Think about that. Every choice, every possibility, every version of you, already there. This doesn't mean you have no power. It means your awareness is the navigator. Your consciousness chooses which version of reality to align with. You don't create time, you align with it. When you truly understand that, everything changes. You stop chasing the future and start tuning into it. That is the key to time consciousness, awareness that transcends the illusion of sequence. The most dangerous illusion isn't that you'll run out of time. It's that you ever had any to begin with. We imagine ourselves as travelers on a timeline, moving from birth to death. But what if that's the wrong metaphor? What if you're not moving through time? What if time is moving through you? Every heartbeat, every breath, every moment of awareness. It's not a step forward, but a wave passing through the infinite field of your being. You are not in time. Time is in you. And once you grasp that, fear begins to dissolve. Because fear is always tied to the future, to what might happen, what could go wrong, what you might lose. But when you realize that all versions of you already exist within the fabric of reality, you begin to live differently. You stop clinging. You stop chasing. You start experiencing. You start living not as a slave to minutes and hours, but as a conscious being, aware of the eternal moment unfolding through you. If time is not what we think it is, then what happens when we reach its supposed end? What is death? If time itself is only a perception? For centuries, humanity has feared death because it marks the boundary of time. The end of the story. The last page. But what if that page never existed? What if death isn't the final line, but a doorway into another dimension of awareness? We see time as a straight road, birth at one end, death at the other. But consciousness doesn't seem to obey that rule. It slips through time like light through water. It bends, it expands, it observes. When we look closely, we find something extraordinary. The mind doesn't just live in time, it creates it. Your attention controls how you experience the passage of time. When you're lost in joy, hours vanish. When you're trapped in pain, seconds become unbearable. In deep meditation, time dissolves completely. That's not coincidence. It's proof. Consciousness is not bound by time. It shapes it. When your awareness expands, time expands with it. When you focus on fear or urgency, time contracts. Every human being has experienced this, yet few realize what it means. It means you have power. You have influence over how time behaves within your life. This is what the great masters understood. The power to be fully conscious of time is the power to step beyond it. Because here's the truth. Death is not the opposite of life. It's the opposite of birth. Life has no opposite. And life, true life, exists outside the boundaries of time. Many who have stood at the edge of death speak of the same thing. A moment when time disappears. When they no longer see events unfolding, but instead experience everything at once. A timeless awareness, radiant and vast. They describe a sense of peace beyond language, of understanding beyond logic. For a brief instant, they step out of time and into what might be eternity. If the brain creates consciousness, then when the brain shuts down, awareness should vanish. Yet thousands of people who have been clinically dead, for minutes, even hours, have returned describing vivid, coherent experiences. Some even recall details of what happened around them while their brains showed no activity. That shouldn't be possible, and yet, it happens. So what does that tell us? Maybe consciousness isn't produced by the brain at all. Maybe the brain is a receiver, a biological antenna, tuning into something infinite. When the body dies, the signal doesn't stop. It simply changes frequency. That's why so many ancient traditions, from the Upanishads to Stoicism, from Buddhism to modern metaphysics, describe consciousness as something that transcends death. They've always said, the soul doesn't end, it transforms. And now, science is beginning to catch up. Quantum physics suggests that observation, consciousness itself, changes the behavior of matter. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles behave one way when observed and another when unobserved. This means that awareness doesn't just witness reality, it shapes it. If your consciousness has the power to influence physical reality, what else might it be capable of? Could it exist beyond space and time altogether? Imagine consciousness as the ocean, and the body as a single wave. The wave rises, moves, and eventually falls back into the sea. But the ocean remains. The wave may vanish from sight, but it was never separate to begin with. That's what death is. A return to what you always were. When you understand this, fear loses its grip, because the end is not the end. It's the return to the beginning, to the timeless awareness that was always watching. When you begin to understand that time bends to awareness, something incredible happens. You stop being controlled by it. You stop rushing through life as if you're in a race you can never win. You start realizing that the present moment, this very breath, is not a point on a timeline. It's the entire field of reality itself. This is the essence of time consciousness. To wake up from the illusion that you are inside time and realize that time exists inside you. Most people live their entire lives running from the past and chasing the future. They say, I'll be happy when I get there. But where is there? The future never arrives. It only appears as the present. And every time it does, you're already thinking of the next goal, the next task, the next moment. That's how people lose their lives, not through death, but through distraction. Time consciousness is the art of reclaiming your awareness. It's realizing that every second you spend thinking about the future is a second stolen from your life, right now. The future doesn't exist. The past no longer exists. The only thing that ever truly exists is your perception of now. When you stop fighting against time, you begin to feel something powerful. Stillness. Stillness is not the absence of motion. It's the awareness that movement doesn't define you. It's the state in which you watch the world unfold without being carried away by it. In stillness, minutes stop feeling like enemies. Deadlines lose their teeth. The clock becomes irrelevant. You realize you've never been late, never been early. You've only ever been here. This shift isn't passive. It's not about sitting still and watching life pass by. It's about becoming more conscious of how you move through time. When you understand that awareness shapes experience, you start living deliberately. You start showing up with intention. In your work, your relationships, your thoughts. You no longer react to life. You respond to it. That's power. That's freedom. When you master time consciousness, you stop being a victim of pressure. You begin to use time instead of being used by it. Suddenly, fear loses its grip, because fear lives in the future, in the what if. Guilt dies too, because guilt belongs to the past, in the what was. And when both fade away, what remains is peace. A man who understands time no longer wastes it. Not because he's obsessed with efficiency, but because he understands the sacredness of presence. He works with focus, rests with purpose, and moves through life with calm intensity. He doesn't rush. He doesn't stall. He simply flows. This is mastery, not of hours or minutes, but of mind. Because when your awareness expands beyond the clock, you begin to sense that time was never your master. It was your mirror, reflecting your state of being. When you are restless, time feels heavy. When you are aligned, it disappears. You can test this truth yourself. Spend 1 hour doing something you love, and it vanishes. Spend 5 minutes in anxiety, and it feels eternal. What changed? Not the clock. Your consciousness did. That is why the ancients said, "The man who conquers time conquers himself." Because when you no longer serve time, you begin to create within it. Once you step beyond the illusion of time, something begins to awaken inside you. You start to realize that awareness is not a prisoner. It's the architect. Every thought, every decision, every breath becomes a brushstroke, painting the canvas of your existence. You no longer chase moments. You create them. This is what separates the conscious man from the asleep one. The asleep man believes he's running out of time. The conscious man knows he is time itself, expressing, expanding, unfolding. When you truly see that, your entire perception of life changes. You stop measuring success by how fast you move, and start measuring it by how deeply you live. Because the depth of a moment, not its length, determines its power. That's why 2 minutes of genuine presence can change more than 20 years of unconscious living. That's why one decision made in clarity can shift the course of a lifetime. It's not time that shapes destiny. It's awareness. The more conscious you become, the more fluid time feels. Opportunities appear where before there were none. The right people show up at the right moment. Synchronicities multiply, not by luck, but because your perception aligns with what already exists in the field of infinite potential. This is the hidden secret behind every breakthrough, every moment of genius, every act of creation that seems impossible. The mind that transcends time enters the state of flow, and in that state, time disappears. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it inspiration. But at its core, it's the same phenomenon, the merging of awareness and action, where the doer and the doing become one. When you are in that state, you no longer count minutes, you command them. You move effortlessly, guided by something deeper than logic, by rhythm, intuition, and alignment. That's time consciousness in motion. And when you live this way, every second becomes sacred. Even waiting in silence feels alive. Even failure becomes meaningful, because you've stopped dividing life into before and after. There is no after. There is only now. This is where mastery begins. Time consciousness is not about slowing down or speeding up. It's about realizing that you are the one who decides how time feels. The man trapped in his mind says, "There's never enough time." The awakened man says, "I am infinite within this moment." Because when you align your awareness with the present, you unlock access to the dimension where time dissolves and potential becomes limitless. Think about it. Every innovation, every discovery, every act of greatness in human history was born not from rushing through time, but from transcending it. The greatest minds didn't just work harder. They saw beyond the clock. They entered that still point between seconds, where inspiration lives. That's where clarity appears. That's where power resides. That's where life truly begins. And when you learn to live from that awareness, you no longer fear time running out. Because you understand, time cannot take what you are. It can only reveal it. The moment you awaken to the truth about time, everything changes. You stop running from the past. You stop fearing the future. You start living as if every breath contains the entire universe. Because it does. You begin to sense that your consciousness, not the ticking of a clock, is the real measure of life. When you expand your awareness, time expands with it. When you narrow your focus to worry or regret, time collapses. So ask yourself, what kind of time are you creating? You see, the power of time consciousness isn't about escaping reality. It's about transforming how you experience it. It's not about denying the passage of hours, but about stepping into the timeless presence that gives those hours meaning. When you live with this awareness, you start to feel a quiet confidence rising within you. You stop seeing time as a thief and start recognizing it as a teacher. Every ending becomes a beginning. Every delay becomes direction. Every loss becomes transformation. The man who understands time no longer resists it. He flows with it. Effortlessly, purposefully, consciously. He doesn't waste energy wishing he could go back. He doesn't worry about what's ahead. He acts with precision in the only place where power truly exists. This moment. And here's the secret. When you live fully in the present, you unlock all of time. The past reveals its lessons. The future aligns with your intention. Because you're no longer fragmented, you're whole. This is what it means to master the key of time consciousness. You become aware that time is not something outside of you. It's an extension of your state of being. When you are anxious, time becomes your enemy. When you are at peace, time becomes your ally. When you are fully conscious, time becomes your creation. And that's when everything begins to change. Your perception sharpens. Your energy stabilizes. You begin to notice synchronicities. Moments that seem like fate, but are really reflections of your alignment. You stop asking, "How much time do I have?" and start asking, "How much awareness can I bring into this moment?" Because in the end, it's not about how long you live. It's about how awake you are while you're alive. And here's the truth that few dare to face. Time and death are not your enemies. They are mirrors, showing you what is temporary, so you can discover what is eternal. When you finally see through the illusion, you understand that consciousness never dies. It simply shifts form. The body fades. The memories dissolve. But the awareness, the silent witness, remains. You've always existed, and you always will. Not as a name, not as a body, not as a story, but as the presence that experiences them all. So breathe, right here, right now. This is eternity, disguised as a single moment. You don't need to escape time. You just need to wake up within it. Because the key to time consciousness is not about controlling the clock. It's about realizing that the clock was never in control of you. The present moment is not a point you pass through. It's the infinite field in which all things arise. And when you learn to live from that awareness, you stop counting time and start creating it. This, right here, is your reminder. You are not a prisoner of time. You are the awareness that gives it life. And once you remember that truth, you will never be the same again.